Hello and welcome back to Scriptcase by Jamie. And yes, we are continuing now with the project. So this is now part 3. And if you have been watching, then you should be viewing what I am viewing now. And well, for sure, some of you have already been saying, the schema name. You should have mentioned it, and that is exactly what I'm going to mention now. So I'm going to finish this. We still have our tables here, and our schema has a name. And if you went to copy that now into your project, into your database already, then you may have found that it also created a database for you called MyDB, and maybe you don't want that. So what we need to do is then right click over here on the MyDB icon that we have there, edit the schema, and then here we can then change the name of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call it Project 1 because I don't really know what it's going to be yet. So I'll call it Project 1 and leave it like that. And I can then, of course, close my table and go ahead and save my model. So I want to save this and I'll save it on my desktop. Then there you see some of the games I've been playing, and when I have time to play them, they're just so nice to see sometimes, but just like 5 minutes and then I don't know why I bother. Anyway, so I want to give this a name, and I'm going to call it Project 1 as well. So let me call it Project 1, and I will save that. And that way I can come back to it later on. Okay, so now I've saved that. Let me then also go ahead and come back to File, Export, and forward engineer the SQL statement. Let's go next and next and next. And there we now have our SQL select statement, which then creates a database table or a database for us called Project 1 with the table Project 1 clients, should I say, and then the next table in Project 1 companies. See what happens, and when you generate this, it actually defines the project name before you add the tables. So having the schema set will then have that set correctly for you. Otherwise, that would, of course, maybe be a little annoying. Okay, so let me just copy and paste that, and then, of course, I can finish this. I can minimize that, and of course, yes, I have a new wallpaper up there because today we are going to start building. We have created our database. So we need to then paste that into my PHPMyAdmin. So let me find that. And there we have my PHPMyAdmin. And of course, I'm using WAMP for this. So I'll just go root login, and I can create then a new database. But because my script already has the database defined in it, I can actually just come here to SQL and paste that in there. And what I will do is actually remove here the checks because really we don't need those, and get rid of that. And that will then add here a new schema or a new database. Okay. And that will then allow me to start using that. So if I now go, and it may come back and give me an error message and say, hey, one of those fields you set is incorrect or something along those lines. It may happen because, of course, the versions need to align. And like you see here, I am getting some warning messages here because, it's what happens when you start upgrading the PHP and not the PHPMyAdmin or whatever else. Okay, so now in here I have then my database available, and if I come here to the left here, I would then have it available here. So if I refresh and come back to databases here, in fact I could have just come to databases, and if I scroll around in here, I will then find it, Project 1. So then I can just click that and it will open up, and you see it open up here on the left hand side now as well. Clients, companies, and your company's clients table, the 3 tables which we had created. And of course we can have a look at these and see that we then have 3 tables available for us within our database. Okay, so our local database is ready. Awesome. We can then actually dive into Scriptcase and start to create this project, whatever it's going to be. So let's do that and open up Scriptcase. And of course, we need to log in to Scriptcase so that we can start to use it. So let me log in. And now that I am logged in, I can start by creating a new project. Okay, so I go create new project. I want to create a blank project, and I will add an icon here. I always like adding some icon here so that it's easy enough to identify. I haven't really added anything in here yet. So in this one, it's an empty one. Okay, so I guess I'll just add here the dude. Or businessman, if you like. You know, we can call this whatever we like. It could just be some guy wearing a suit. So I will then also change here the name to Project 1, and that's what I'll call it. And I don't know yet, so I don't know what it is yet. We will find out as we go along. And of course, we can add some additional information in there, which we can do then later. So let's go next. And now I will choose my SQL database, because that's of course where I just stored or inserted my database tables. And now if I go list database, because I'm using WAMP and I have my username there already, it's all local, so it should automatically grab my database and then I can use it. Now in here, I just need to then find the Project 1 database, which I had just created. I can then also test that connection, and then, well, generally I can just go next and start to already create my project within Scriptcase, which is really easy. Now, if I wanted to add more languages to this, I could then add another language here, and I think that's a good idea. I think I'm going to add German at least, and let me go ahead and add Spanish in there as well. And let me add Italian in there, and yeah, let's leave it like that. And of course, we could add more languages. I really just don't know. These are the closest ones that I know. Of course, we could add Portuguese, of course, because that's where I live. There we go, Portuguese, Portugal as well. And well, let's go next then. Okay, so we have multiple languages now added automatically to this project, which is really cool. And we will have to, of course, work with that as we work along within this project. And that alone will present some challenges, okay? And that does not make it easy. It actually makes it a little more difficult. But Scriptcase does make it as easy as possible for you. And again, I do apologize for the birds. It's just crazy because I have a fig tree, a really big fig tree right next to my office, and the birds love it. I tell you, they love it, love it, love it. I can sit on my porch at times and I'll have those bird shows people just talk about right in front of my house, which is just pretty amazing. Really great country. Really, the wildlife here is just spectacular. That I can say for sure. Okay, so that is, of course, not the topic. So let's continue on here. Now, I like the blueberry, but do we want to go with the blueberry? I'm going to go with the SC9 Rhino. Let me choose this one. And actually, let me add then, well, yeah, let's keep this. Let's keep the blueberry. Let's add the blueberry in there as well. But we will make the Rhino my default. Okay, and then the blueberry is there also as an optional. And of course, we could add more themes to this later on or at any point if we wanted to. So let's just go with those and go create. Of course, maybe later on you will decide not to have any of those themes or those languages. That is entirely up to you. Okay, so I have now the first page or option that Scriptcase always gives me, and it is to straight away create a new application. And I don't want to do that yet. I could just create one. Yeah, in fact, I will create one. I'll just create one just so it doesn't pop up with it all the time. And I will just create a blank and place that then there in the root. So I'll just go ahead and close that again. And that is then just here available in the root. And that'll stop that popping up all the time. And that'll give me some time really to think about what I'm going to do now within Scriptcase, because now we've entered a whole new world, right? Because that's what this is. It's not just let's go create and off we go. So let's have a look at what type of options we want to have. So first of all, I want to define the default values of my project, because moving forward, I want all applications I generate as easy as possible to manage, change, as well as possibly have them in a default manner that, well, I don't have to do anything if possible. Now, that won't be the case, but maybe we shall see. So I would maybe want to add my logo here. So I'm going to come here, and what I'm going to do is, let me open this up. And because I want all of my content to be stored now with my project, I will come here to general images within the project section here. Okay, because you have public and user. Now, it is important to note that if I add to user and export my project, then other users would also get my content because they are using the same username and password essentially for Scriptcase. Makes sense, right? So in this case, or generally, I try to tie everything to the project, so it's with the project. If I want to have it available for everybody and anybody, I place it as public, and then everybody has it available. For me and me alone, I have for user. Okay, so in this case, I have nothing in user. I actually have a separate user defined here, who you will have to guess who that is, and then with that user, I can then access the logins, the icons, the images, and everything else of that user account when restoring from a backup or from a project or whatever. So now I have here my public, and that would be available for everybody that uses Scriptcase. And then Scriptcase is what has been added by Scriptcase. Okay, now I can come in here and use all of these. I don't have an option to upload, remove, or rename. These are what are available. Okay, so I want to add here to my project general images. So I'll slide that in, and then what I want to do is then upload an image. So I will have to select the files, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose here one of the coffee icons I have, add that in here. I'll add a couple more as well, such as both the logos. I'll add those in there, and there I have there my logos available in here. So I have a light and a dark option, as well as here a coffee symbol. So I'll choose here now the coffee symbol, and that would then always be my logo. But yeah, I don't really want that, so I will choose here, let's go with here the light, and add that in there. Okay, so for common settings, I can also choose how many records I want per page. And I personally think 10 is not enough. 15 is a little better. 20 I think is good, but then of course you have to remember that the more records you have or insert or display, well, that will be more work on your database, on your server, on your services and systems. So in those cases, or in some cases, maybe having 5 records is actually sufficient. That really depends. So in this case, I'm going to set this to 15 and increase it by 5, and well, that should do for now. Now, some of these other options here, I can display the line number. I like to do that sometimes, but in general, no. So I will remove that. I would want to display the titles. Summary will be depending on the application, I guess. Old chart palettes, no, I don't. I want to use the new ones. Use Sweet Alert, of course. Enable mobile optimization. Well, hell yeah, of course I want mobile optimization. I want mobile applications. I want to be able to use Scriptcase on my mobile phone. Oh, I do. That's cool. So that's not really a problem, is it? So Sweet Alert, position the toast. Well, top right, I really like the bottom right. So let me place it there. And date display position to the right. Let's actually have that as a watermark. The display date format, well, yes, I think it's a good idea to have that. Fixed columns, hover column, yeah, I will leave those, that's good. We can leave most of the security options. We don't really need these. We can, of course, add the referrer and stuff like that if we wanted to. In default, I don't think it's needed. For the grid. Let's look, and here we can then straight away define the width of all of the grids, and yes, I'm going to go with the 100%. Of course I am. Don't I always? Those of you that watch my videos, well, it's only a few on this channel. Go watch the Scriptcase channel. I've made loads of videos over there. Loads of videos. And of course, you will know I always pretty much go with the 100% because it looks a little nicer. And in some cases, yes, I will want to use 400 pixels or 600 pixels or 800, whatever. I will want to use a defined width in some cases, not all cases. In the majority of cases, I will want to use 100%. So I set here now 100%. Okay, so then we have our tab group by 10 pixels. Now, I prefer to have that a little large. I'll set that to 12 records per page. Now here, I actually like to have this. It makes no sense having 10 when you've got 15 displayed, right? So let's increase that to 15, 30, and here I will add 80, and then I will go 150, and then I will go all. Okay, so to be sure that some applications or user front end applications where general users can go all, I like to add all for administrative purposes. And yes, I think it's better just to have it there and then the option to remove it than to add it all the time and to have to remember, oh, I need to add it, when really in a lot of cases, I generally like to have it there. And of course, you can customize that on an application basis. So in this case, I will say 150 and all. Now, why did I go 80, 150? Who knows? Okay, so fixed label grid, fixed label summary, we'll leave those as yes. Fixed group by, I don't really think so. I think I'll leave that as no. And then we have the icon type, and we can say by theme or by font awesome. So I'll use font awesome. And then we have the generic fields that we can choose, as well as the numeric fields. So alphanumeric, should I say, not generic, but alphanumeric and numeric fields. And of course, for the alphanumeric, we would want to have letters. And for the numeric, numbers ideally. Now for the numbers, I may just switch that to the arrows and then leave the alphanumeric to the pluses. Or in fact, let's just go all arrows. It's all good, isn't it? As a front-end user, maybe it's simpler just to have it like that, you know? And so let's just continue then. Export settings, yes, no. Export grid modules, grid summary chart. Well, in general, I like to actually have these off, and maybe just the grid, of course. The summary, switch them all off. I'm going to leave them all on and then decide on an application by application basis. Okay, and then like so. Otherwise, we can switch everything off here. And then we can define a password, select columns. I can leave all of that, header, footer. Now, because we are starting this project, I think it's probably a good idea that we also create ourselves a footer and a header. I think that would be a good idea. Or no footer and a header. Let's have a look. So let's come here to the edit. If that would open. So it's not opening. Hello, Scriptcase guys. So I'm clicking here on the edit and that does not work. Da-na-na. So of course I need to come up here to layout, HTML templates. And here now within the HTML templates, I can start to create headers and footers for my applications. So I already know, for instance, I want my header to have certain characteristics. So let me just copy here maybe the light. The light is nice, it's basic, it will do for now. And of course we can always quickly update and change this later on. And in general terms, it is good to have multiple header and footer templates because of course you have different things to show, different types of data, different charts, different everything, different images, well, different data, guys, come on. So yeah, you know, of course, ideally you have a header which is more populated, a header which is less populated, a header that would have administrator information, a header that has user information. And in each of those, they could have completely different layouts, different styles, different whatever you like. And here is, of course, where you would want to define or create that. So let me start off by creating a new template. And let's say P1, I'll call it P1 and header. Okay, and choose here the type header. Now, I'm not going to upload the files because I could essentially create the header in a text editor, which is something I would sometimes do depending on the type of header. I would go ahead and create something in Bootstrap outside of Scriptcase, and then I would actually upload the file. In this case, I'm just going to go choose project here so that this header is attached to the project and go save. Okay, and in this case, like I said, I am going to copy paste that directly here into the editor because yes, I'm copying it from one of the Scriptcase ones that's available here, which is cool. It's available. We can use these and learn from them even. You see here already in this code, what do you need? You need to add some styling for your elements or objects that you are adding. Whoopie-doo. You need to add some div elements or objects, containers, Also, okay, this is basic HTML, CSS. If you need to learn about that, then best look it up online. There's plenty of information. Otherwise, you can always give me a ring. I'm happy to teach you. It's not that difficult, really. And of course, you could then jump in here and create something that is more suitable to your styling. But otherwise, just copy what's available here. Yeah, adjust it, change it, break it. Learn from that, rebuild it, and you will find you can do it too. Everyone can. I'm sure of it. I'm so sure of it. Okay, so let's continue. We have then here the styling at the top here, and then we have here our elements. So this is basically here just adding the CSS styling from Scriptcase. That's what this one here is doing, okay? And then we have here NM CSS cab again. And again, this is adding the styling just like this one is, okay? And it's just like this one here is called fun. And then we have here the line 1, column 1. And then this is what is defined within your menu application. So then you can choose the field. So this represents essentially your field that you see within your header or menu application. So we will see that shortly. So what I'll do then is I'll change this to, well, let's leave line 1. Column 1, column 2, and I want to add logo into this one, so column 2, and then here I'll add title, okay? And then we will see that when we come then to our header. Now I will choose that then here within our default values. So if I close this now, whatever that was, I don't know what that was, but here I actually want to choose it. This edit window that was being hidden there. Okay, so now I want to choose the header, and right now it's not being presented, okay, because I actually need to save what I have here now. Okay, so update this, and if I come back into the grid and come back here to the header, there we go, we have it, project P1 header. I can then choose it, and that is then what would then be added by default to all of my project applications, all of my grid applications. Okay, so I want to do the same for my form. Set the width to 100, not 1000. Percent we already have there. You can, of course, choose the options you like here. I don't like to choose the slider because integer fields. It will add a slider to all of your integer fields. And if you do not use a slider on 80 to 90% of your integer fields, which is generally the case, then that option will be frustrating. So don't use it, okay? Unless that is what you want. Now, I do want to use the switch because yes, that's not frustrating. That's quite an easy one, as well as we want to actually use switch in those cases. It makes those objects much nicer and easier. These radio buttons and stuff makes them much nicer to use. Okay, so then we have some further options here for the notification settings, the required fields. Again, we want to choose here the header that we have created. Okay, now one thing I haven't yet touched within the grid application was the toolbar buttons. So I'm going to do that here. I will choose or select all of the center buttons here and nudge them over. And now that I've moved them, they're out of the way here and maybe they're in a better place. I don't want the reload on all the pages, so I'm going to get rid of that, and that's gone then. And if I'm going to use it, I can then simply just select it here from the left hand side and then add it in there and then readjust wherever I want it to. But in this case, we don't want it. Okay, so before I save again, I want to actually come back here to the grid and adjust here our header again, the title, because yeah, I don't like this layout. It's always frustrating me. So let me move here, first of all, the search and dynamic search, plonk them up the top here, plonk them. Okay, so now they're up here. And we have our quick search. So let's move search first, quick search, dynamic search. And then we have our column sorting options and our group by options. Now this bar here is pretty useless. So I'm going to drag that down here, remove the reload again. And that bar, I will actually save that or leave that right there where it is, I think. Yeah, let's leave it where it is. Okay, so that should be good. Now for the control, I want to highlight the field with the errors. And again, I want to choose here the header that we have created. for search applications as well. I may not use a search, but who knows? I can then adjust that here. Now, personally, I do not like the buttons all in the center in this, so I'm going to straight away adjust these here to the right, and well, the exit here to the left, and the edit here also, like so. In fact, I'll leave that like so. That's good. And then we have that a little more organized like so. And of course, we want to apply here the header, so let's not forget that one. And we could then basically save this, but I want to adjust here the calendar as well, because we may actually use this, may add appointments for these clients or companies, who knows. And of course, we may want to adjust this. So I want this to be the same as my other applications. So I will move all of those and adjust those to cancel. Well, that will be over here by the exit. And I want to place that before the delete, so people don't do delete by accident. And well, I guess this can stay there, but again, the delete and the exit and cancel, let's move those over there. Okay, so that's good. The chart, we have here also some buttons. We could adjust these. I think I'll just leave those with that where they are. I can never really decide where to put those all the time. Our old chart, the tab, we will apply here the header also for our menu, and also apply the header there. The dashboard application, well, I will apply it. I doubt very much. I will leave it there at any point, but then who knows? So we can also create our default HTML editor, and we have a few options here: basic, clean, and full. And I'll choose the full because I like to use that. And then we have here also internal libraries. So I could add internal libraries now. We don't have any. Maybe we'll add some later. We shall see. Okay, so our defaults are ready for this. Let's just triple save that and make sure everything is stored. And of course, I can close here the HTML template, close the default values. And now when I start to create my applications, it'll start creating them with those values. But we use languages. We're not ready yet. We still have some preparation to do. Because we use languages, we really want to prepare those language keys and values so that applications are automatically generated with our language keys. Of course, we could do that later. I would rather do that now. So I'm going to come now here to the data dictionary, and I'll call this again project 1. I could add a description. Now I will use the schema before the table. I would say yes. And the connection, of course, will be my database connection. And yes, I want to associate the dictionary with my connection. So let me create that. And now we have our data dictionary ready. Doesn't have anything yet. We need to add it. So to do that, I will then choose here, or check, or click here, or select, whatever you like. The checkbox at the bottom here, the checked one, I'll click that, and the option box here will open up Add Tables to Dictionary, because it has selected here all of my tables. And I do really want to add all of my tables. I don't really need to add this one. I could leave the company's clients, or I could essentially use it as a spare option. So I will actually go ahead and choose that and keep that as an option there. So if I now go next, I then want to generate the indexes in language files with table field labels. And I want to overwrite language files indexes. And I will say add. And yes, it will give me an error message. Scriptcase always gives me an error message here. I never understand why. It'd be lovely to know what that really means. But yeah, I always get a message there. Okay, but let's ignore that, because that's something I've just got used to, I'm afraid. Ignoring those messages unless you see they make something annoying. I don't know, that just changed your life drastically, that you want to pull your hair out and destroy everything called Scriptcase. Because yes, that happens. It does happen. People just want to destroy everything around them when they get too frustrated. I don't know why. It's the way it goes. Okay, so anyway, let's continue here. We have here our free tables, and we have here our clients table, our companies table, as well as the company's clients table, which we have created. And I could now choose here the edit option, which I'll do here for my clients. And I can, run through these and make sure I have the correct options chosen. For instance, I could choose here the data type. I have no option here for a select box or anything though, so that's pretty useless now. So in the majority of times, using this option that you have here will probably be pretty useless for small projects, okay? For small projects. For those big projects, well, no. In those big projects where you have a load more fields, so as we go on, we may want to come in here and make those adjustments so that when we generate a form, it will give us 50 characters here instead of 150, or 10 characters instead of 45, or give us decimals, or set the field as required, or minimum size, maximum size, whatever that may be. Okay, so of course I can choose here whether that field is required and so forth. I can define that. So I will leave that for now. I don't want to make those specifications, okay? What I do want to do is make other changes, and that is specifically for the language keys right now. So again, I'll choose here the checkbox at the bottom here, and this time I have the tables green, so they have been synchronized and updated with your database. They are current, okay? Now, I can then go ahead and click Next here, and it will go, no applications found, because I haven't created any yet. We haven't. No, we're still doing the details and the setup. Yeah, a real project. Okay, so I could go back. Okay, so there's no need to do that now. We have not synchronized any applications. We haven't created any yet. But then when we do come to create those applications, that is all we need to do, is just check that box and go next. Okay, and it will synchronize then the new tables with the applications. So if I had now created the applications already, it will add them then to the applications. But now if I go to generate the applications now for the first time and I have everything defined in here, then well, that's what it's going to be. It's all pre-configured, set up and ready to go. Let's party and create our project. Okay, soon. We are getting there. We're getting there. Okay, so now I could just go ahead and click save in this case because I have no applications. And now if I go ahead and, well, I actually do want to check these here, and I can select tables from the dictionary and update with the database. So if I need to update again, I'll check them. I'll come here, update these tables with the database. It will add the new tables in here or give different fields within these tables. In those cases, the green icon here, it won't be green. Okay, so that green icon will change when Scriptcase realizes or notices there is something changed within the project database, then this color here will change. Okay, and then in those cases, you may want to select that individual table maybe, or all of them, synchronize, and then synchronize the applications. But beware, okay, it's very easy to overwrite everything and have to start again within some things like your language keys maybe and stuff like that. Okay, so don't worry about it. We're getting there. Right, so now, as I said, we can go save, and I can now also close that. So my data dictionary is ready. The default settings for my project are ready. I've also added a HTML template in there for the header for each of my applications that I then go to generate. Okay, and now, of course, we are ready to start creating our applications. Well, you will have to come back for the next video for that one, I'm afraid. So come back within the next video of this little series. A little, I say, we shall see. And then, of course, you can learn more about Scriptcase, developing in Scriptcase, planning that project, of course, because, yeah, we've only got 2 tables. What are we really going to do? Well, you're going to find out, because even with 2 tiny little tables, we can do a great deal within Scriptcase, and we are going to do that. And then we'll see what we will do with this project, because I think it will evolve. So for now, ta-da, and catch you within the next video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the content, and if not, comment. And if you are, comment, say something. Nobody's talking. It makes me wonder, are you really watching? Hello. Goodbye then, until the next time.